What if a simple act of kindness changed lives forever? A poor roadside food seller, a hungry little boy with no past, a billionaire father searching endlessly for his lost son. She fed him when the world ignored him. She sheltered him when danger surrounded him. She never knew the child she saved carried a secret worth billions. But when the boy finally speaks his father's name, when the gates of a mighty mansion open, when destiny brings two worlds together, everything changes. Will the truth unite them or tear them apart? What hidden connection binds the poor woman and the powerful man? And what happens when love rises from the most unexpected place? Don't miss the full story. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications for more emotional, suspense-filled stories that will keep you guessing till the end. Because sometimes, one meal can rewrite destiny. The city never slept, but it rarely cared. Before dawn broke, when the sky was still bruised with darkness and the air carried the chill of forgotten dreams, Kemi was already awake. Her small one-room apartment smelled of kerosene, pepper, and determination. She tied her worn wrapper tightly around her waist, balanced a pot on her head, and stepped into the quiet street before the noise and cruelty of the day arrived. Life had taught Kemi to move early, earlier than hope, earlier than hunger. By the roadside, beneath a faded umbrella with torn edges, she arranged her wooden table. The paint had peeled long ago, but she scrubbed it clean every morning, as if dignity could still be polished out of poverty. One by one, she placed her pots: rice, beans, stew, and fried plantain. This was her livelihood. This was survival. Customers would soon come. Drivers in a hurry, laborers with tired eyes, children sent by impatient parents. Some would pay, some would beg, and some would insult her for being poor. Kemi endured it all in silence, because waiting for her at home was her 4-year-old son. He was the reason her hands never shook when the world pushed her down. Every spoon of food she sold was another breath for him, another night without hunger. She counted her blessings carefully. No husband, no family support, just a fragile bond between mother and child, and a stubborn faith that tomorrow could be better. What Kemi did not know was that fate had already turned its eyes toward her. That same night, not far from the noisy street, a small boy crept through dark alleys with bare feet and a hollow stomach. His creamy skin was smeared with dirt, his once expensive clothes torn and soaked with sweat. He had not eaten properly in days. Fear followed him like a shadow. Months earlier, he had lived behind tall gates and crystal chandeliers. He had known warmth, protection, and love. Then came the kidnapping. Screams, darkness, strange voices, endless nights of crying for a father who never answered. That night, chaos broke loose among his captors. Shouting, fighting, confusion, and the boy ran. He ran until his lungs burned, until his legs failed him, until the city swallowed him whole. Since then, he wandered, sleeping under bridges, hiding behind shops, surviving on scraps. His world had shrunk to one question: where can I find food? By the time he reached Kemi's roadside stall, night had already settled. The streetlights flickered like tired eyes. Kemi was packing up, counting her meager earnings, when she felt a presence. "Auntie?" The voice was small, weak, almost swallowed by the night. She turned. The boy stood there, trembling. His eyes were too old for his face, eyes that had seen terror no child should ever know. His lips were cracked, his hands shaking. "Please," he whispered, "I'm hungry." Kemi felt something tighten in her chest. She did not ask where his parents were. She did not wonder how he arrived there alone. Hunger was a language she understood too well. Without hesitation, she opened one of her pots and scooped a generous portion onto a plate. "Sit," she said softly. The boy ate like someone afraid the food might disappear. Kemi watched him closely, her heart aching with every bite he swallowed. When he finished, he looked up at her with a gratitude so deep it scared her. That night, rain began to fall. Kemi looked at the dark sky, then at the boy, shivering and afraid. She made a decision that would change her life forever.
"Come with me," she said. And as they walked away from the roadside together, neither of them knew that this simple act of kindness had just set destiny in motion. A destiny that would shake a billionaire's mansion, expose buried secrets, and bind two strangers together in ways money could never buy.
The rain fell harder as Kemi led the boy through narrow streets, their shadows stretching and shrinking under flickering streetlights. She held his small hand firmly, afraid that if she loosened her grip, the city might swallow him again. The boy said nothing, but his fingers clung to hers with desperate trust. Kemi's room was small, too small for dreams, yet big enough for kindness. A single mattress lay on the floor, a cracked mirror leaned against the wall, and a kerosene stove occupied one corner. When she closed the door behind them, the boy looked around in wonder. It wasn't a mansion, but it was warm. It was safe. "You can sit," Kemi said gently. She fetched a towel, wiped his face, and brought out water for him to drink. As she watched him, questions crowded her mind, but she pushed them aside. She had learned that some wounds healed faster when left untouched. That night, she shared her dinner with him. When he finished eating, his eyelids grew heavy, but fear still lingered in his eyes. "You won't send me away, will you?" he asked quietly. Kemi's heart broke. "No," she replied. "You are safe here." He slept almost instantly, curled on the mattress like a child who had been running from nightmares for too long. Kemi sat beside him, listening to his breathing, wondering what kind of world could abandon someone so young. Across the city, in a house lit brighter than daylight, another kind of night unfolded. The billionaire paced his vast living room, his footsteps echoing against marble floors. His eyes were hollow, his beard untrimmed, his once perfect suits now hanging loosely on him. Months had passed since his son disappeared, yet time had refused to heal him. Every wall in the mansion carried a reminder, photographs of a smiling boy, toys left untouched, a room that remained locked, as if preserving hope inside it. "Find him," the man ordered, for the 100th time, his voice breaking. "Alive or dead, just find my son." His wealth had bought him influence, security, and power, but not answers. Back in her room, Kemi woke before sunrise. She prepared tea and watched as the boy slowly stirred awake. For the first time, he smiled freely. "What is your name?" she asked. He hesitated, then answered softly. "My name is Tunde." The name struck her as ordinary, yet something about the way he spoke, his accent, his careful choice of words, felt unusual for a child of the streets. Days passed. Tunde stayed with Kemi. She took him along to her food stall, and customers grew fond of him. He helped her arrange plates, greeted people politely, and never begged. Kemi noticed how clean he tried to keep himself, how he covered his ears when drivers shouted insults, how he flinched at sudden loud noises. At night, he sometimes woke up crying. "Kemi," he whispered once, clutching her wrapper. "They were shouting. They were fighting." She held him until the tremors left his body. Still, she did not ask. One evening, as they walked home, Tunde stopped suddenly and looked up at her. "Do you have a husband?" he asked. Kemi smiled sadly. "No." "And no one helps you?" She shook her head.
Tunde's frowned, as though trying to understand a puzzle too large for his young mind. Then he said something that sent a chill through her. "My daddy is very rich. He lives in a very big house." Kemi laughed softly, brushing his hair. Many children dream big, but Tunde's eyes were serious. "I'm not dreaming," he said.
"I just can't remember how to get home." That night, long after he slept, Kemi lay awake, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, doubt crept into her heart. Who was this child, and why did it feel like his past was chasing them both? Outside, the city continued to breathe, unaware that the lives of a poor food seller and a powerful billionaire were slowly being pulled toward an inevitable collision. The city woke up angry that morning. Car horns blared endlessly, traders shouted over one another, and the sun rose hot and unforgiving. Kemi stood behind her food stall, stirring a pot of stew while watching Tunde sit quietly beside her. He was unusually silent, his small hands folded in his lap, his eyes distant, as if his thoughts were far away from the noisy street. "Kemi," he finally said, "I want to find my daddy today." She paused. For days, she had pushed aside the weight of his words, convincing herself they were fragments of a frightened child's imagination. But something in his voice that morning was different, firm, clear, and desperate. "Tell me about your father," she said gently. Tunde looked up at her, searching her face for reassurance. "He used to carry me on his shoulders," he began. "Our house has a big gate. There are guards, and a garden where I used to play." Kemi's heart began to beat faster. "And his name?" she asked carefully. Tunde swallowed. "His name is Chief Adewale Adebayo." The spoon slipped from Kemi's hand and clattered against the pot. Her world froze. That name was not a dream. It was real. Chief Adewale Adebayo, the billionaire businessman whose only son had been kidnapped months ago. His face had filled television screens. His mansion had been shown on the news. The entire country had mourned with him. Kemi stared at the boy, her breath shallow. "Are you sure?" she whispered. Tunde nodded. "That's my daddy. He's been looking for me." Memories flooded her mind. His polite speech, his strange confidence, his fear of loud voices, his nightmares. The pieces fit together too perfectly. That evening, Kemi could not sleep. Fear and hope battled within her. What if she was wrong? What if she took him there and lost him forever? But what if she didn't and denied a father his child? At dawn, she made her decision. She dressed Tunde in the cleanest clothes she owned, combed his hair carefully, and held his hand tightly as they walked through the city. Her heart pounded with every step toward the wealthy district where tall gates replaced roadside stalls and silence replaced noise. When they arrived at the massive iron gates of the mansion, armed guards blocked their path. "We want to see Chief Adewale," Kemi said, her voice shaking. The guards laughed. "You think he will see you?" Before she could respond, Tunde stepped forward and shouted, "Daddy!" The sound cut through the air like lightning. There was sudden movement inside the compound. Within moments, a man emerged, older, broken, and trembling. His eyes locked onto the boy. Time stopped. "Tunde," the man whispered. The boy ran. Father and son collided in a desperate embrace. The billionaire fell to his knees, holding the child as tears streamed freely down his face. He touched his son's face again and again, as if afraid he would disappear. "My son! My son!" he cried. Kemi stood frozen at the gate, overwhelmed by emotion. She tried to step back, but Chief Adewale looked up and saw her. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice hoarse.
Before she could speak, Tunde turned and pointed at her. "Daddy, she saved me. She fed me. She took care of me." The billionaire rose slowly, walked toward Kemi, and bowed his head, a gesture no one had ever seen from him. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Their eyes met. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. Gratitude, respect, and a strange pull neither could explain.
Neither of them knew it yet, but this was not the end of their story. It was only the beginning.
The mansion gates closed behind Kemi with a heavy, echoing sound. It felt final, like the closing of a chapter she had never planned to open. She stood awkwardly in the vast compound, her simple slippers dusty against the polished driveway. Everything around her gleamed with wealth, yet her heart felt strangely heavy. Inside, servants rushed about in disbelief, whispering and staring at the boy they had mourned for months. Tunde sat beside his father on a grand sofa, held tightly as if Chief Adewale feared the child might vanish again. "Don't leave me," Tunde whispered. "I won't," his father replied firmly. "Never again." Kemi remained standing, unsure of her place. She had brought the boy home, yet now she felt like a stranger in a world she did not belong to. Just as she turned slightly, preparing to leave quietly, Chief Adewale noticed. "Please," he said, "sit." His voice carried authority, but also humility. Reluctantly, Kemi sat on the edge of the chair offered to her. The billionaire studied her closely, her worn dress, tired eyes, and the quiet strength in her posture. "You kept my son alive," he said. "Tell me everything." Kemi spoke softly, recounting the night they met, the food she gave him, the shelter, the nightmares, the questions. As she spoke, Chief Adewale's eyes darkened with emotion. Each word confirmed the suffering his son had endured and the kindness that had saved him. "You asked for nothing in return," he said. "I only did what any mother would do," Kemi replied. The words struck him deeply. That evening, the mansion filled with celebration. Doctors arrived to examine Tunde, security was tightened, and calls were made to announce the miracle. Yet amidst the joy, Chief Adewale found himself drawn back to Kemi again and again. She was calm, grounded, different from the women who surrounded him in luxury and ambition. Later that night, he approached her quietly on the balcony where she stood, gazing at the city lights. "You didn't have to bring him here," he said. "You could have kept him." Kemi smiled faintly. "A child belongs with his father." There was a pause. "My wife died years ago," Chief Adewale said suddenly. "Since then, I have lived in this house, but it has never felt like a home." Kemi looked at him, surprised by his vulnerability. "I don't know why," he continued, "but my son trusts you, and so do I." Before she could respond, Tunde ran toward them and grabbed Kemi's hand. "Please don't go," he pleaded. "Stay with us." Her chest tightened. Chief Adewale turned to her. "I want you to stay," he said gently, "as long as you wish." Kemi hesitated. This world was not hers, but the boy's grip was strong, and her heart, against her will, had already chosen. "Just for a while," she said quietly. As she followed them back inside, Kemi felt it, the invisible thread tying her fate to theirs. Two worlds had collided, poverty and wealth, loss and hope, loneliness and unexpected love. And somewhere between them, something beautiful and dangerous was beginning to grow. Morning arrived softly at the mansion, but Kemi slept restlessly. The bed she had been given was larger than her entire room back home, yet comfort refused to come easily. The silence felt too loud. Wealth had its own kind of loneliness. Down the corridor, Tunde woke from a nightmare, screaming. Before the servants could reach him, Kemi was already there. She gathered him into her arms, rocking him gently, whispering soothing words. Chief Adewale stood at the doorway, watching in silence. In that moment, he saw not a poor food seller, but a woman whose heart understood his son in ways money never could. Later that day, news of Tunde's return spread like wildfire. Television vans gathered outside the gates. Journalists demanded statements. The police reopened investigations. The kidnappers were still at large, and whispers of betrayal began to circulate. Someone inside helped them, Chief Adewale said grimly to a security team. Find out who. Kemi overheard the words and felt a chill. Suddenly, staying in the mansion no longer felt safe. That evening, as she helped Tunde with his dinner, he grew quiet. They wore masks, he said suddenly. But one of them smelled like our house. Kemi's heart skipped. What do you mean? She asked gently. He used to talk to me before, Tunde continued. He knew my name. The truth sank deep and heavy. The danger was not over. Later that night, Chief Adewale found Kemi sitting alone in the garden. You're afraid, he said. Yes, she admitted, but not for myself. He nodded slowly. I won't allow anyone to hurt my son, or you. Their eyes held longer than necessary. The air between them thickened with something neither was ready to name. I owe you more than gratitude, he said. I want to change your life. Kemi shook her head gently. I don't need riches. I only want peace. He smiled sadly. Sometimes peace comes after courage. From a shadowed corridor above them, unseen eyes watched. A woman clenched her fists in jealousy and fear. She had planned to inherit everything. The boy's return threatened her future, and Kemi's presence threatened her control. She doesn't belong here, the woman muttered, and neither does that child. As night swallowed the mansion once more, secrets stirred. The past whispered through the walls, warning that love, when mixed with betrayal, could be deadly. And Kemi, unknowingly, had stepped into a war she never asked to fight.
The child is home, but the danger has just begun. A secret from inside the mansion threatens to destroy everything. Jealous eyes are watching Kemi's every move. The kidnappers are still free, and one of them knows the house too well. Will the truth expose a traitor hiding in plain sight? Can Kemi protect the child she saved inside a world ruled by power and betrayal? And will the growing bond between her and the billionaire survive the storm ahead? The past is awake. Love is risky. Trust is dangerous. Don't miss the next part of the story. Like the story? Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications for more emotional, suspense-filled episodes that will keep you on edge to the very end. Because destiny is far from finished.